Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of the Nourish and Strengthen podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about blood sugar. Blood sugar, insulin, how does it affect your weight? Does it affect your weight? How to keep blood sugar levels stable for optimal health and body composition, and helping you prevent like those extra cravings, blood sugar crashes, that kind of thing, just helping you feel your absolute best. So that is what we're diving in here to talk about today. So let's go on. Let's talk about my week real quick. A little personal update. So last 7 days, it is, fall in Utah. You guys, if you're not in Utah, fall in Utah is pretty crazy. Like we have days that feel like it's freezing cold, like it's winter. And in the morning, I think it's like 45 degrees out right now, 48 degrees. But it's going to be in the 70s later this afternoon. So I'm actually going to be rollerblading this afternoon. My rollerblading days are getting numbered. I know, I can feel it. But yeah, it's like fall is a mix of winter and summer, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And this week has brought a lot of changes. I know that in the last episode, I was talking about how I was feeling a lot of stress and anxiety, and those things kind of worked themselves out, the things that I was stressed about. So maybe a little learning lesson here. If you're feeling the lows, the stresses, the worry, the anxiety, try not to get too emotionally attached to those, because everything works itself out, right? Life is 50-50, you guys. You're going to have some hard times. You're going to have some great times. You're going to have some really hard times. You're going to have some really great times. But a lot of times, a lot of life is spent in the middle. You know what I mean? And so really try not to get too down and low in the low times, because better times are coming. And last week that really kind of turned itself around pretty quickly. So it ended up being like a really, really great week. So we brought on a lot of new clients into our Moxie Elite program. Another great piece of news is that one of my coaches, Amanda, she works in the mortgage industry, and she's been wanting to quit her job and coach full time. And she finally did that. And that is a huge, huge win for her, for me to be able to provide her that opportunity, for the business, for her clients. It's just huge. So if you're a client of Amanda's, you know her, you love her. So go give her a huge congratulations. All right, let's talk about blood sugar, guys. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. So you might have it's kind of buzzy right now in social media. You'll see lots of stuff about it. People are talking about like so we're going to break it down to the nitty gritty. Okay. So what is blood sugar? What does that number mean? So when we eat carbs, our bodies break those carbs down into glucose molecules. And the level of the glucose in our bloodstream is what we refer to as our blood sugar levels or our blood glucose levels. You might see that written as like BG, that stands for blood glucose. And as we eat, and our blood sugar levels increase, as we eat carbs actually specifically, and our blood sugar levels increase, this stimulates our pancreas to produce insulin. Okay. What is insulin? Insulin kind of is made out to be a bad guy as well, but it's really not. It's very, very necessary, and it's a good thing in our bodies, okay? So insulin kind of acts like a key. So I want you to pretend, we're gonna do a visual here. I want you to pretend that your cells have a locked door on them. So you got a cell here, it's got a little lock right here. In order for the glucose to enter the cell and for your body to use it as energy, you need insulin to come around and unlock the door, okay? So you gotta have insulin. Insulin is released in response to blood sugar increases, comes around to the cell, unlocks the door, like that, and then the glucose goes into the cell and your body uses it for energy, okay? So blood sugar is not bad. Insulin is not bad. After eating carbs, your blood sugar will rise and your body will produce insulin. This is not a problem. Okay, this is only a problem if you are chronically overeating, specifically on high carb, high sugar, high, like treat type of foods, and your body is always trying to play catch up and is overproducing insulin in order to lower your chronically high blood sugar levels. Okay, so that's when it gets dangerous. That is when it can lead to prediabetes and then diabetes, heart disease, and other things that are really not good. You don't want to go down that road. Okay. So the question is, does high insulin make you fat, make you gain weight? It's a great question. It's one, like I said, is talked about a lot on social media right now. And the answer is no. In the absence of a calorie surplus, high insulin will not directly make you gain weight, okay? If your insulin is high because you're in a calorie surplus, then yes, you're gonna gain weight because of the calorie surplus. But if your insulin is high and you're not in a calorie surplus, it's not going to directly make you gain weight. But it does not mean it's okay. It can lead to other diseases that can slow your metabolic rate over time. Okay, PCOS is one. Oftentimes, not always, oftentimes PCOS starts with insulin resistance. Okay, I'm gonna get into what insulin resistance is in just a minute. Actually, no, I'll just get into it right now. Okay, heart disease, diabetes, like I said, are also linked to high insulin. So, what is insulin resistant? It literally means that your body is resistant to the insulin it's producing. It means it doesn't respond to it. So it's like, remember our cells? We've got blood sugar, we've got glucose that's like, let me in, I want to give you energy, like that. Okay. And your body releases insulin, but your body is resistant to the insulin. So the insulin is technically not working. You got insulin there, but it's not going around and unlocking that key to let the blood sugar in. So your body is just kind of in this state of high blood sugar and high insulin. That is insulin resistance, okay? What you want is to be insulin sensitive, okay? So that means your body, when your body starts producing insulin, it's like, oh, I know what this is. I know how to use this. This is a normal thing. My blood sugar goes up, my insulin levels go up, my insulin lets the blood sugar into the cell for it to be used for energy. My insulin comes down, my blood sugar comes down, my body is working so wonderfully, okay? So some ways to become more insulin sensitive, couple ways. Number one, this is the biggest one, is to spend some time in a calorie deficit, okay? People in building phases, or even just people at maintenance. You might have heard people on social media talk about being in mini cuts. Okay, so one of the best, one of the good reasons to move into a mini cut is to kind of reset your insulin sensitivity. If you've had times of higher carbs, because maybe you have, been traveling a lot, haven't been paying attention to your nutrition, or maybe you are in a calculated build phase where you purposefully are having higher carbs, that's okay. One of the best ways to reset that insulin sensitivity is to come down into a calorie deficit for a short time. I found myself in this place, it was last summer. I was just kind of spending some time at maintenance, not really tracking, not really paying too much attention. I was eating healthy, of course, but I wasn't paying a lot of attention to calories, tracking not nutrients, of course nutrients, but that kind of thing. And I got some labs done and my insulin was a 12. And ideally you want that between a 3 and a 6. And so I wasn't technically in a build phase, but I was like, okay, I got to bring this down. And so I didn't necessarily want to lose a lot of weight, but I moved into a calorie deficit for like 6 to 8 weeks, and my insulin came down to a 6. So that's exactly what we would want to see. And that's exactly the purpose of why you would move into like a mini cut, that's exactly why you would move into a mini cut even at maintenance. Okay. So let's talk about, so another way really quick to reset insulin sensitivity would be regular exercise. So oftentimes the people that are listening to this likely are exercising regularly. Okay, you're probably like, I'm already doing that. I totally get it. But if you're not, that is a good reason to start. Lifting weights, cardio, all of that is very, very helpful. Okay. And then if needed, if the calorie deficit and the regular exercise are not helping to bring insulin levels down, you might want to move into maybe a lower carb, possibly even a keto phase if that is necessary. Okay, this does not mean you have to do keto forever. It just means if you have high insulin, it might be something that can help bring that down. Okay, so how do you measure insulin and blood sugar? Let's talk about that really quick. So measuring your blood sugar is super, super simple. You can get a glucometer at Walmart, Walgreens, any pharmacy, Amazon, super easy. They're like $30. Basically, you're just going to prick your finger. It doesn't hurt. I promise it doesn't hurt. You're going to prick your finger first thing in the morning, generally after you've had 8 to 12 ounces of water. So a little bit, drink some water in the morning, wait a few minutes, and then you're going to prick your finger. Okay. What you want to see is approximately 75 to 90, a reading of 75 to 90. That means you are all good. If you're seeing over 90, I would watch that for a little bit. And if you're seeing it, kind of trickle up into the hundreds, then I would probably look into checking your insulin or doing some of these things that we're going to talk about to bring those levels down a little bit. Insulin, unfortunately, you can't track at home. As far as I know, I don't know of any way you can do that. It needs to be a blood test in a lab ordered by your doctor. So there are some ways that you can do that with Life Extension, where you order it. So it's just lifeextension.com. I'm pretty sure you can order just an insulin test separately. They order their labs a la carte as well. But I'm not positive on that. You might need to go check that out. Okay, so let's jump into our topic today, 7 ways that you can keep your blood sugar levels more stable, okay, to stay within these healthy, normal fluctuations, which are going to lead to helping you stay healthy, help keep your cravings at bay, and help you maintain your body composition, okay? So number 1 is take a 10-minute walk after a meal, okay? Now this might seem like a big chore. You might be like, I don't want to add like 3 or 4 or 5 walks to my day. It doesn't have to be like exercise. Don't view it like that. Just view it as, if you can go outside, walk to the end of the street, walk back. If it's freezing cold, if it's raining, if it's not good weather where you are, you could even just pace your house a little bit. The idea is just that movement can help blunt that blood sugar spike a bit after your meal, allowing insulin levels to stay lower. So story time. A couple years ago, I used a CGM. That stands for continuous glucose monitor. My blood sugar was fine. A company just wanted to send it to me, and I was like, cool, I'm going to do some experiments and just see what happens when I do certain things. So I remember one day I ate a balanced lunch, had some carbs in it, had some protein, had some fat. I don't remember what it was, but I remember thinking it was pretty balanced between all 3 macronutrients. And then I went straight to a lash appointment, like literally straight to the lash appointment. And my blood sugar spiked way higher than normal. This was a meal, again, I can't remember what it was, but it was a meal that I ate often. And my blood sugar went way higher than normal. And I was like, that is so interesting, because I preach walking, movement after eating, but I had never really seen it in real life. So it's because I ate this meal, again, not a huge meal, very normal meal for me. And then I went and I laid down. So no movement at all. I laid down for an hour. My body wasn't using any of that energy. And so it just stayed fluctuating in my bloodstream, not fluctuating, stayed moving in my bloodstream. Okay. So when you can move after a meal, not only is that going to help your digestion, it's really great for digestion, but it's also going to prevent a larger than normal blood sugar and insulin response. Okay. Number 2, eat carbs after your workout. So this is when your body is naturally the most insulin sensitive, okay? All those carbs are gonna be shuttled, they're gonna be broken down into glucose molecules, right? And shuttled right to your cells to be used for energy and then glycogen replenishment. So weight training activates something called your GLUT4 receptors. And these are actually responsible for the uptake of that glucose into the cell, okay? So this is gonna make your body totally ready, really ready to use those carbs without a large blood sugar spike or insulin release. You might remember, I used to talk about this a lot. I don't really so much anymore, but talk about like having those higher sugar, low fat, higher sugar, more like treat type of things post workout. This is why your body is more naturally insulin sensitive. And so no matter what kind of carbs you ingest after a lifting workout, your body is going to use those up really, really quickly. Okay. Number 3, eat more fiber. Fiber is the part of your foods like vegetables, grains, that kind of thing that your body can't really digest. So it comes in 2 forms. You've got your soluble and your insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber, fiber is really what helps slow down the digestion. It actually dissolves in water to create kind of like a gel-like substance, and that's going to slow the digestion of the carbs, which is going to keep your blood sugar levels more stable. Okay. Number 4 would be to eat protein or some fat with your carbs. So you should always eat protein with your carbs, add some fats in there too sometimes. This is gonna slow that digestion and the blood sugar release of your carbs, so you have more of a steady release and not that huge glucose spike and insulin spike, okay? So do you guys remember the glycemic index? It's not talked about so much anymore, but probably like 10 to 15 years ago, it was like a big thing, right? So basically what that was, it was a rating scale that rated foods on how fast that food affects your blood sugar when the food is eaten on its own. Okay, that's one of the reasons why nobody really uses that anymore, because most of us don't just sit down and eat a bowl of rice or a potato with nothing else, right? We add protein, we add some fat, we add something to it, and that is what's going to slow down that digestion and slow down the breakdown of those carbs to balance out your blood sugar. And so that's kind of why, if you hear of, fruit that has a high glycemic index, it's not really that big of a deal, okay? Because most of us, fruit, you might just pick up and eat a thing of fruit, but it's got fiber in there that slow that digestion. So it's not as important as people used to think, because most of us aren't just eating these foods by themselves. Okay, so add protein, add some fats with your carbs. Okay, number 5, drink more water. Right? You might be like, these are all basics. I know, they really are. When you're dehydrated, what your kidneys do is they're actually going to retain fluid, and they're going to stop flushing out that excess sugar through your urine. Okay, so it also prompts your liver to release more sugar into your blood. So when we have clients checking their blood sugar levels, we make sure they're well hydrated, like I mentioned before, pricking your finger after drinking some water, because hydration is huge for managing blood sugar levels and keeping those more stable. Okay, so as far as how much water, I generally recommend half your body weight in ounces of water a day, but listen to your body, watch your urine. If it's clear, great. Okay, another thing, number 6, is you could actually use what we call a GDA for high carb meals. That stands for glucose disposal agent. So basically what this does is it's a supplement, and it helps insulin do its job more effectively by helping insulin unlock that lock, right, to let the glucose in to the cell to be used for energy. Okay, there's tons of different ones out there. If you've heard of metformin, that is a prescription GDA that people will use if they're diabetic. Okay, so more natural versions of metformin would be berberine. If you haven't heard of berberine, that's kind of a natural version of metformin. If you are on metformin and it makes you sick, it's common that it gives you upset stomach, things like that. You could talk to your doctor about maybe trying to switch to berberine. It's not as strong, but it's a more natural version. You can buy it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. Another one that I like is called GDA Max from New Ethics. If you want to check that one out, Trainer Lindsay is my discount code. I really like that one. It's got berberine in it, and it also has some other ingredients in there that help with the insulin and the blood sugar. Okay, so using a GDA on those high carb meals, I wouldn't use it regularly unless you have issues with high insulin, high blood sugar. Okay, if you would just want to use it like with a dessert or with a meal that is unusually high in carbs, that's a great way to use a GDA as well. So, and the last one, number 7, is just keeping in mind that high levels of stress and not enough sleep will also spike your blood sugar levels, okay? Which again leads to higher insulin, which if happening a lot more than normal can be a problem down the road, okay? So this really, you guys, all comes down to the healthy basics that you know how to do, right? Sleep a lot, walk a lot, eat healthy whole foods, stay hydrated, do these basics, and you'll be all good when it comes to keeping balanced blood sugar levels for that optimal health, preventing disease, and maintaining a healthy body composition. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, you guys. If you did, I hope I really broke down for you in easy to understand terms the blood sugar, insulin, weight loss kind of debate that's going on there right now. I'd love it if you share this on social. Just post it up to your stories, tag me, let me know what you liked about it. And I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.